All right, so section 3.3, and you are going to do this warm up on your own. I will do the third one with you, but the first two you're going to do. So you do 1 and 2, so pause me, go do 1 and 2, then start it again. Number 3 is just a little trickier because you see 2 signs in a row. Remember, we learned that if there are 2 signs in a row, we need to start by simplifying that. Before we do anything else and worry about solving it, we need to get rid of those 2 signs in a row. So 17, 2 negatives gives you a positive, so we're doing plus W equals negative 55. Now you have W that's being added to 17, so you're just going to subtract 17 from both sides, which leaves you with a positive W equals negative 72. And that's it. Okay? But just be careful with those 2 signs. You always have to rewrite it before you can move on to anything else. We're still solving equations, and they're only still going to be one-step equations. The only thing you have to do today is multiply or divide instead of adding or subtracting. So it should be pretty simple. Just like yesterday, we had an addition property of equality. Now we have a multiplication property of equality, which means if you multiply or divide both sides by the same thing, you're still going to get a true statement, just like we talked about. Excuse me. So 6 equals 6. We start with something that's true. You do the same thing to both sides. So you multiply both sides by 2, and you get 12 equals 12. So you get a new statement. It's a new equation. 12 is a different number. But the fact that you kept both sides the same and multiplied both sides by the same number means that you're going to end up with a true statement anyway. Okay, so you just have to keep it balanced. Same thing with division. You start with 6 equals 6. You divide both sides by 2. You get a new equation of 3 equals 3. But it's the same. Kept it balanced because we did the same thing to both sides, so it's fine. All right, so the inverse of multiplication, or the opposite of multiplication, is division. I trust that you know that. So if something is being multiplied, you're going to divide it, okay? The inverse of division is multiplication. They are inverses of each other. So if something is being divided, you're going to multiply it. So you have to undo whatever's happening to your variable, and you use your inverse operation to do that. So same questions as yesterday. What's my variable? What is happening to my variable? Is it being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided? And what is the opposite of that? So if it's being multiplied by 2, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So you just have to be able to do whichever inverse operation is necessary to get the variable by itself or isolate it. So number 1, you have a negative 6m equals 42. So your variable is m, and it is right next to negative 6, which means they are being multiplied together. Okay? So the opposite of multiplying by negative 6 is dividing by negative 6. You just have to make sure that you see that that's being multiplied. It's not a minus 6, it's a negative 6. So you just have to divide both sides by negative 6. You just take the negative with it, which leaves you with m equals negative 7. Notice on the left-hand side, these negative 6's just canceled. If you divide a number times itself, it just leaves you with the 1, so you don't even need to write it. So the negative 6's just cancel, leaves you with the m by itself, and then 42 divided by negative 6 is negative 7. So when there's a negative number in front, it's fine. Just divide by the negative number. When you have mixed numbers, it is probably easiest to just change them to improper fractions. And your calculator will do that. If you do 2 ABC, and it like makes a little like box, like 2 ABC 1 ABC 4, and then hit second ABC, it'll change it to an improper fraction for you. You don't have to do that, but it's not difficult to do on your own either. So to do it in your head, you multiply the bottom and the big. So 4 times 2 is 8, and then you add the top. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. and the bottom stays the same. So 9/4 g equals, and 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and 2 stays the same. So you're just doing 3, so your variable is g. G is being multiplied by 9/4. The opposite of multiplying by 9/4 is dividing by 9/4. So you do divide by 9/4. Divide by 9/4. Again, on the left, 9/4 over 9/4 cancels. Leaves you with g equals. And then when you divide those two fractions, you just get 2/3. Okay? That's it. So you don't have to change them to improper fractions. It's just probably easier to use your calculator if you do that. Okay, you should get the same answer either way. All right, I'm going to do a couple of these with you and let you do the rest of them on your own. So number 1, what's your variable? W. What's happening to W? It's being multiplied by 1/6. What's the opposite of multiplying by 1/6? Dividing by 1/6. So you just divide both sides by 1/6. On the left, it cancels because 1/6 over 1/6 is 1. W equals, then 33 divided by 1/6 is 198. And you're done. You can do 13 on your own. 13, goodness. You could do 2 on your own. I'll do 3 with you. So pause me, do 2, then we'll come back and do 3. So for number 3, your variable is n. N is being multiplied by -18. The opposite of multiplying by -18 is dividing by -18. Just make sure you take that negative with it. So they cancel. -18 over -18 is 1, and then you have your n equals, and -198 divided by -18 is a positive 11. Done. Okay, do 4 on your own, and I'll do 5 with you. So for 5, you have a over 36 equals 4 over 9. So your variable is a. A is being divided because it's a fraction. So a is being divided by 36. The opposite of dividing by 36 is multiplying by 36. So you're going to multiply both sides by 36. On the left-hand side, anytime you multiply a fraction times its denominator, it cancels out. And that just leaves you with a equals. So whatever's on top just falls down because you got rid of the bottom. And then 4/9 times 36 is 16. Okay? 6 just is what we did a couple days ago when we wrote the equations and then solving them. So it's just 2 things instead of 1. So 5 times a number is 120. 5 times a number. It doesn't tell you what number. You get to pick the variable you want, so I'll pick x. Is, remember, is means equals, so equals 120. So that's the first step, is to write the equation. You have to write it first. Then it says, what is the number? Which means they want us to solve it. So my variable is x. X is being multiplied by 5. The opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. So then you're going to divide both sides by 5. On the left, it cancels. And 120 divided by 5 is 24. So just be careful on those that you actually show me the equation. You have to write this out first, and then you can solve it. So it's 2 parts. Write the equation, and then solve the equation. It doesn't matter what letter you use. If it doesn't tell you, you can use whatever variable you want. You just have to make sure that you're writing the equation and then solving it. Again, you need to have done 2 and 4 on your own. And then your homework is 3.3.